Hey everybody, it's Ed. We're going to talk a little bit today about what to do with the SD card on the Supernote. There's been a lot of discussion on Reddit. There's been a lot of discussion even in my own comments. This is specifically in response to a comment I got by a longtime subscriber, Carl, who asked how you can really use the SD card as expandable storage. And so I wanted to talk about that, and I also wanted to bring up what I think Voya mentioned in a recent video that's a very valid point on whether or not you should depend on external storage, or I should say an SD card specifically. External storage can mean a lot of things. It can be in a connected hard drive, it can be a cloud service, there can be a lot of different ways and reasons you would want to do that. The problem here is, can you really depend on this device and the SD card itself not to fail? So what are some possible solutions to that? And I think there's a reason, and we'll show that here in a minute, why Supernote may not allow all of the functionalities on the SD card that they have in their normal file structure. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that, but let's go ahead and get into it and take a look at the device. Okay, so here we are with our Supernote Manta, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at the SD card, and we're going to go through what the functionalities that are available on the SD card when it comes to the PDF function. But I want to do PDFs first because they tend to offer more functionality as far as the tool set, and I want to show what that looks like. So we'll just go into this book here, J.B. Glossinger's book, Spectrum of Thought. This was something he gave away as a free ebook, and it's pretty cool. You should check it out. It just talks about the different ways that you frame productivity, the way you think, what type of person are you. Kind of a really fun read. But what I want to do and what I want to draw your attention to is there's been a lot of, I don't want to say controversy, but it really in some ways controversy over the SD card and how integrated is it into the Supernote system, because a lot of people thought, well, you expand the storage, then that means you can expand the entire tool set, means you can link to the SD card, means you can have notes on the SD card. And that's not how this works. You can put notes on here, but they are not linkable out of here or to here. So that is not going to work the same way that you would think you would be able to do that. However, there are some functions that do work cross-platform, and I'll show you a few of those. But so I tried to test a link to a main note. You'll see that text is still here. That was not doable. I tried to go ahead and do that. So if I lasso here, what you're going to see are the tools that are available. So you still have the option of a keyword, and you can cut, copy, and paste. You can also do a keyword at the note level. You can do one on the page, or you can do it within the text. So those functions are still there. You also have the ability to annotate directly on the page is a note. And that gives you that function. Of course, that allows you to go over here to the contents, and you can see the contents that are embedded in the document. You can also see any keywords that exist. You can see bookmarks, you can see annotations, and then you can see highlights. So you still get that highlighter tool as well. And if you go up here to the highlighter tool, and let's go ahead and go to another page and say that I want to highlight this section here, and then I get my standard menu. Same as in any other PDF that's on the main device. I can do an embedded comment directly into the PDF, which is viewable on Adobe, Edge, any browser viewer. You can click on that comment and you'd be able to read that as such. You can also edit that comment and pull it back into the system, but we'll save that for another time. You can go ahead and underline this. You can highlight it only, or you can do it an actual digest entry. What's cool about the digest entry is you might think that that doesn't transfer like globally, but it does. Is a test digest entry. And so now I have this digest entry. Go out, and then let's go ahead and do another keyword. So we did one keyword, let's do a different one. Second test SD keywords. Remember, keywords don't have to actually just be one word. They can be phrases. I will go ahead and circle that, and then I will call that a keyword. It will recognize it, which it didn't get at all because I didn't circle it all. But let's go ahead and fill that in. So keyword, and then I can add that. Now, what's really cool about this is if I go over here to digest and I open this up, you're going to see all of my digests. That includes that PDF that's on the SD card. It does globally recognize the digest. So if I go to back up my digest, it's going to remember that the digest is on the SD card. So you won't lose that function or that feature. So it gives you, and then you'll see there the one we just did and the one that I had pre-existing. What's also nice about this is even though it's on the SD card, it still remembers my last open document. So it'll take me to the SD card. It's not only doing the functionality within the main hard drive. Let's go ahead and just show how this works. We'll go back to the main page, the main note page. Let's say that I want to do a global search. And you can see I've already got SD card in there as one of my search terms because it remembers the last thing you did. But so we'll go ahead and we'll search again and you'll see I have keywords selected. Now it should pick up that same one. So it picked it up and you'll see that there's one search result. I can view that by page and you'll see there it actually picked up SD card and SD card test. I can do it by file. That's one result. And then I can view that different ways. So Supernote has a lot of different ways to engage with this because here it'll actually show me the thumbnail. It'll say what it's looking at and it'll show you the actual tag. And then if I want to go to, I can also search by file name, but I think that that's really important. And then let's go to the last open document and do one more thing. So one thing we didn't do was add a star. So let's say I want to remember this and it's really important to me. I'll go ahead and draw my star mark. Just go ahead back out. Let's also highlight a piece of text too, since it's saying I didn't have any highlight. So let's highlight, turn this directly into a highlight. You'll see I've got my table of contents. I've got my keywords. I don't have any bookmarks. Got my annotations of all the different things I've written. And there's the stars. And then I've got my highlights. So there's my highlights. So I have all of those same tools, again, that you have in a traditional PDF viewer. Now, last thing, let's go ahead and do the global search. Let's search for star and we will do search. And remember, this is crawling the entire system. So not just the SD card, but the entire system. So sometimes it takes a little while for these to come up. Now, I could limit it by note, by PDF, by different document types, but you'll see there is my star mark that is on the SD card. So if I press that, now we are back to where we were supposed to be. Is it the same level of functionality you get by doing this in a traditional document? No, it's not. You're not going to be able to do that linking. You're not going to be able to do a lot of those functions. If you put a note on here, it's not going to give you that ability to link out. And let's just show that just for effect. So let's go ahead and take a note. We'll just create a blank note and we'll call this, because you can't create a note on the SD card, but you can move one to it. SD note, and we will create that. So now we've created this note. Now let's go ahead and move it. Now you'll see that that note is there. We can interact with that note. So you have your tool sets over here. You can do keywords, you can make notes. This could be a nice way to back up some notes. If we write test link. Okay, so we've created our test link here. And one thing that's really important to point out is while this does allow you to link within the SD card itself or to a main note, you can't link from the main part of the file structure to the SD card, if that makes sense. So right here, yes, this will take me to my Random Thoughts newsletter where I selected the page. Let's go ahead and get out of this and see if recent files. So there's no way to go from the main system to the SD card. There is, however, a way to go from the SD card to the main system. So that's interesting, and I don't know if that means that they're going to open the door and make that work in the future, but it's just not really usable because you wouldn't want all of your main data and your main file system to be on the SD card. At least I wouldn't. Now again, some people have very strong opinions on this and they really want this to be a functionality that expands the memory of the. Personally, I pull the information off of the device into Obsidian, and that's where I do a lot of the extra linking. There's still linking here, a lot of it, but not the main focus of this device for me. This is more for quick links to get me around a document, to get me between documents within a certain category, not so much to be like the true second brain, which I think you can do on this device. That's just not my pathway. That's really what I wanted to show you on this. But let's go back to our last note here. So we'll go to recent file, test link. So let's just make sure we understand what's going on here. So if you do, and you circle this, you get all of your regular note features. Like I said, you get your calendar, you can add a new task, you can add an event, you can do pretty much anything you want here. You can add headings, all of that still works. The keywords will be searchable globally. The links, you can link back, like I said, if you want extra material here. But remember, you can't link to it. And that is a deal breaker, at least for me. I need that link to kind of be both ways. To me, you would want that to start on the main device hard drive, not the system on chip. You wouldn't want that to be here. And primarily for the reason that an SD card, although they don't fail all the time, they're a lot less robust than the system storage. So I think it's really important to recognize that. But again, that is it, and we will pop back over and have a quick discussion and wrap up. All right, everybody, we're back. Thanks for hanging in there through this video. I think it's important just to sum up where we're at and what the conclusions of this are. There are a lot of things you can do with the SD card. You can still add keywords, you can still annotate, you can include things in your digest, you can still mark up and comment and do all sorts of things with PDF and EPUB documents. So most of the reader functions work. You can put a note on it, but you can't engage with that note the same way. You can't add links, for example. You can't link from the operating system part to the SD card. And I think a lot of that has to do with just, what should happen if that SD card fails, or if you have to replace it, or if, do you want your links dependent on that type of thing? And I think that's just why Supernote has limited the functionality somewhat. The nice thing is you can always back up your digest, you can always back up your annotations and then restore those later. But what you can't do is restore those links since they're on technically an external drive. I don't know if Supernote's going to change that. I don't know if they're going to integrate that storage piece into the app, for example, where it's auto backed up, but I'm not sure that you even want to have that level of uncertainty that comes with a drive that's not actually part of the system and not backed up anywhere else. For Windows users, it's not a huge deal. You can recognize the drive, back it up, and then you're good to go. But again, there are multiple steps involved. And I think that's why originally a lot of these devices didn't come with external storage options, because I see it more as I want to load books on there. I want to load PDFs on there. I want things that are kind of self-standing or, kind of siloed in a way. Now, I know that's not everyone's use case. Some people are very, very interested in trying to really expand the device and be able to have unlimited storage. The problem with that becomes the whole linking features and those types of things. Anyway, that's the video. Just some, final thoughts and conclusions on it. I think it's still a powerful tool. You can use it a lot of different ways. I just don't think you can use it the way that some people were envisioning it, at least in its current state. Now, that doesn't mean that Supernote and RADA might not change their minds, but I do think it's very important to know what the functionality is going into making a decision to try to use this. Thank you again for watching. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. If you're not already a subscriber and you come back to this channel regularly, please subscribe. Also, check me out on Patreon. I have a new YouTube membership, so you'll see those names scrolling across the screen. Please check it out, see what's going on, see all the new things we're doing and thinking about doing. But until next time, I will talk to you soon and keep on moving forward. Bye now.